Hey, I'm Caleb with You Could Make This Too. This time I'm rehabbing my neighbor's deck. It's really not that complicated of a process. Stick with me and I can show you how you can make this too.
My neighbor's deck has been in disrepair for some time. I'm pretty sure it was built with the house about 30 years ago, and it shows. Some of the disrepair though really kind of starts to make sense as I get further into the demo and see how it was made. But they also wanted to change a few things about the deck. They didn't care for the built-in benches or how separate the upper section of the deck was from the lower section. So a lot of the stuff I'm tearing out isn't going to be replaced, which I'm totally down with because it means less work for me. Getting the first deck board up was the hardest. There really wasn't any good way to get my hammer or pry bar under it to creep in, but once I got that out, it went pretty quick. I'm not particularly a strong or large guy, except for my belly, so one of my favorite demolition tools is a long pry bar. It's a lot of fun to just smash things, but it's really hard for me to keep that up all day. But with a long bar, I have a lot of leverage and it doesn't take much effort to pull things apart. The framing seemed to be in pretty good shape after I got the deck off. It needs some work, but it doesn't need to be replaced. There's really not any rot, which is good because that saves a lot of time and material, but that also means there are a lot of nails that need to be pulled. I started with my long bar, but I realized my short bar would be more comfortable, and fortunately it gave me plenty of leverage to get these nails up really easy. Anytime I have a lot of nails to pull, I stay away from using my hammer. They're handy in a pinch, but require more strength in pulling. With the pry bar, gravity's on my side, and with the position they fall into, it seems like I have more leverage. Plus, I can just lean a little bit and use my body weight instead of having to muscle each nail up. I'm not weak, but when there are 1,000 nails to pull, every movement tends to add up. To start repairing the framing, I started by leveling the deck. I used a car jack to raise the double joist that all the other joists are tied into. Then I added a joist hanger to reinforce it and hold it in place. Then I repeated that process on all the other joists. Most of the joists I didn't need to use the car jack and could just lift into place, but everything got a joist hanger. The original nails I don't think were galvanized, so they corroded, and as they did that, it let everything sag and kind of pull apart. The joist hangers are going to prevent that from happening again anytime soon. With the framing sorted out and no longer literally falling apart as I bump into it, I could get onto the decking. I would throw up a fair amount of boards onto the deck and then get them roughly into place. The boards are just a touch short though, so I alternated having one against the house and one flush with the end of the deck. At this point, I didn't worry about shooting nails into every joist. I'll come back and do that later. I'm just getting enough to hold things together so I can keep moving. But for the boards that were warped a bit, I used my pry bar to pull them into position and then nailed them into place. For the boards that go flush with the outside of the deck, they fall a little short of the house. So I mark and cut them so they end in the middle of a joist to leave room to scab in a short place to fill the gap that I can nail on both ends. In hindsight, I should have set those pieces so they ended in the middle of the joist and then flush cut them with the end of the deck at the end, but that's hindsight. These boards were really wet, so I didn't worry about spacing them out. I just put them right against each other. As they dry, they're going to shrink, and then there will be nice gaps for drainage. If you don't believe that'll happen, then don't ruin those beliefs by watching what happens at the end of the video. After the decking was laid, I came back and finished shooting the rest of the nails. And that's really why I didn't do it as I laid down the boards, because I just wanted to be able to put my nail gun into bump mode and go to town. It's a lot of fun. Many deck builders are switching to screws now because they're less likely to allow boards to pull up and get loose. I opted for nails just because I don't have a good way to shoot screws, but I have a nail gun. I just made sure to pick galvanized that'll hold up to the weather and ring shanked because those are going to resist pulling out, and I'm pretty sure the original nails were not galvanized or ring shanked. Twist shank nails also work, but I don't think those are available for nail guns, and I wasn't about to do this whole job by hand. With most of the decking down, it's time to cut those short pieces that are needed. There were enough of them that I decided to move to my shop and do this with my miter saw and a stop block in place. The shorts that go against the house needed to be very close to the proper dimension so they fit in the space without much gap. But for the ones that are going at the end of the deck, I was able to cut all of those a little long, and then I can flush cut them after they're installed. And now that all of the deck nails are in, I get to pay the price for my quick shooting fun earlier, and I had to go back and hit down all of the nails that didn't quite go flush, because the last thing I want is someone catching their foot on a nail head sticking up. And now I can add the steps on top of the decking. They're super simple construction. Just 2x4s spaced 16 inch on center and sized for 2 deck boards to fit with a 1 inch overhang. They're about 10 inches wide, and with 11 inches of deck board, that size is plenty comfortable for most people to have a good step without being awkward. My neighbor said that they wanted the deck to feel more open, so I recommended not putting the railing back up between the upper and lower deck and just doing one long full-size step there to make it feel like one cohesive space. They like that idea, and it really does feel a lot bigger than before. Onto the railing. I went ahead and kept the railing the same style that it was before, so I cut the rails to fit between the posts and then pre-drilled some holes to be able to toenail screws to hold them in place. And that's when I realized that I hadn't replaced the main steps, so I went ahead and knocked those out and replaced them.
While you watch me work on that, let me tell you how you can potentially win this DeWalt Atomic Compact Drill Driver Set. I recently revamped all of my Patreon benefits, and part of that includes a monthly, not giveaway, but contest. This month's contest is based on making related jokes. So all you have to do is become a patron, find the post, leave me your best maker related joke, and when I pick one, the winner will receive this. September 2nd, I'm going to be choosing the winner as well as announcing the next contest and prize, so you still have some time. If you're interested, there will be links in the description, or you can just go to patreon.com/YouCanMakeThisToo.
Fortunately, deck board sizes haven't changed, so I didn't have to rip any pieces and everything fit just fine. Finally, on to the finishing touches, the top rail. Normally this style is done with a deck board for the cap, but it was originally 2x6s, and that seemed to flow well with the 2x4s of the rails, so I went with it. I also went with screws for all the railing because there's a good chance that there will be kids pulling and pushing on these and people leaning against them, and the screws are going to resist coming loose a lot better, even with ring shank nails. And everywhere possible, you'll notice that I'm screwing a full-length or oversized board in place first, and then cutting it to fit. To me, this is a lot easier, faster, and just gets better results than measuring and cutting, because there's no risk over ruining a board with a bad measurement, or losing time taking measurements because I'm not taking measurements at all. And then the only kinda tricky part of this build was the rail cap for the stairs. I used my speed square to find the angle, which was about 34 degrees, then I set the base plate on my circular saw to 34 degrees. That matched pretty well, and with several screws to hold everything in place, I was able to cut the bottom of the rail flush with the saw, still set at the appropriate angle, so it looks nice. Deck boards are normally pretty wet when you buy them, and no finish is really going to stick very well to that. If you want a good finish, you want to start with nice and dry wood and only wet it out yourself. So we let this dry for about 10 months so they'd be nice and dry, and then I came back and painted it to match the trim. My airless sprayer made really quick work of the painting. I started by spraying all of the rails and posts, and then I cut in the edges carefully, the same way you would do a wall. and that let me come back and just go back and forth over the field until it was done, not having to worry about accidentally overspraying onto the house. And that's it. If you look carefully in these shots, you'll also notice that the boards have pretty even gaps for water drainage now. Anyways, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something, are more confident or inspired to try a remodel yourself, or at least entertained. Don't forget to check out Patreon if you're interested in winning the DeWalt set, and until next time, make time to make something.